What's good, YouTube? Or Storm here, coming at you guys another video today. I know I've been away for a while, but I went on Christmas break after late in December. I had 3 days off from work, so I was away from my laptop, unable to edit videos from pretty much like the 24th through. And then when I got back to work, I looked at my schedule and realized, wait, I've got to work 7 days in a row, which is kind of a lot, and I haven't really felt up to. I've been exhausted. I haven't felt up to making videos as often as I usually would. So I finally had a day off today to actually sit down and work on video. And there are some things in the works for the next few months or so. The APS community tournament is coming. It's very soon, likely in February, and I'm really excited to have another tournament. It's gonna be interesting because it's gonna be a totally different crew hosting it, helping me out this time around. But I think I'm really looking forward to having to hosting it, because it's always a lot of fun. Just to see kind of the crazy decks that come out. There will be more details on that though later. The APS tournament is coming, guys. It's just a matter of time. But anyway, so outside of that, Yu-Gi-Oh related, what I've been up to. Outside of Yu-Gi-Oh, I've been playing. I've been busy playing Battlefront 2. I really do enjoy it. Shoot me. I know it's got its problems, but it's a pretty fun game in general. I do enjoy it. And I'm still playing ESO Elder Scrolls Online on PS4 as well. That's mostly what I've been up to. I haven't had much of a chance really. I've also been getting back into the Pokemon series. I've recently been playing Heart Gold again, and Alpha Sapphire again. Mostly kind of just get back in the series, and because I kind of wanted to take a break from Yu-Gi-Tubing for a little bit, just so I could kind of like figure out what I wanted to do for future content. As far as Yu-Gi-Oh! Lies, before Christmas, I did make a locals trip. I decided to take my Spiral deck that I showed you guys not so long ago, and the deck tested really well. The one thing I dislike about Spirals is the deck itself is not unfun to play. I'm glad to have a deck that can summon links effectively and not, totally get auto-lose if one little play gets stopped, like World Chalice does. Don't get me wrong, World Chalice is a really cool deck, but unlike Spiral, which can go second, World Chalice is basically like, it's the same issue I've had with decks like DDDs, decks like Herald, is that they don't really have effective plays going second. And that's one of the reasons why I prefer Spirals over those decks. And I had a pretty good success. It's just the mirror match for Spiral is so unfun that I don't know if I could, I would totally take the deck to an event if I was going to go to a big tournament. I would totally take the deck. But the mirror match is just so unfun. I am not going to miss the deck being it's not unfun playing against other decks. The mirror match is literally just like, I remember one of the games, my one of my opponents who I play against a lot of locals, he opened, so I opened my hand. I've got like, I can't remember the 5th card, but I've got double terraforming and Ghost Ogre and a DD Crow. It's the list. I play DD Crow. I play Ghost Ogres and not Drolls, because I feel like Ghost Ogre is a little, almost, it can be as good as Ash in some situations against Spiral, because if you're Ghost Ogring their double Helix, it does basically what an Ash would do in the same situation. And he uses Cyphering Gear Delta. He told me after the match, he plays Deltas because he doesn't have Gammas, and he Deltas my first terraforming and Ash is the second. The mirror match is just so hand trap dependent. And even in my build, which, like, most Spiral decks with 10, 12 hand traps, this is kind of like the first deck, because most of the time I play very combo-heavy decks that can't afford a lot of non-combo pieces. And with Spiral, I'm playing 6 hand traps, which is a lot for someone like me who plays a lot of combo-heavy decks. And it's just, I find that everything else playing Spiral is fun. It's just the mirror match is just not fun to play. It's not like a Magician mirror or a Shaddoll mirror or even a Zoo mirror where there's outside of the fusion sub build. Most of those decks have interactive fun mirrors. This one doesn't. So it's like but that being said, I actually did perform pretty well. I only lost one match because my opponent opened Max C both games. But I ended up pulling an Ultimate Invocation in my OTS pack, so that actually worked out really good. It was really fun overall. I was just happy to kind of get back in the groove of playing Yu-Gi-Oh again. But for the enough about that. Main reason this y'all are here for this video is a ban list discussion. I wanted, because I do think Konami did say in January for the new year we're going to have a ban list as early as January. So at some point very, very soon, we are going to have a ban list. I think it's reasonable to say we'll have a ban list before we get Extreme Forces later. Later this, I think it's next month it comes out. We're probably going to have a list before then because Konami wants to push that product, and Spirals hanging around does not help to push that product. So that's the first thing we're going to have to get to, of course, when talking about what will probably change a Spiral. So even with Drone and Quick Fix going to 1, as well as losing set rotation to 1 and, Gofu as well, the deck is still really good. The deck is still topping at an extremely crazy rate. And part of that is, and I feel like there's something has to happen with the deck. A lot of people have said Spiral Resort should go to 1, but you have to keep in mind the TCG is a lot different than the OCG. The OCG has this just thing against field spells that has become prevalent over the past few lists. Whether it's Diagram is banned over there. Set rotation recently went from 3 to 2, and Terraforming's at 1, Diagram's banned, Resort is at 1, and Ancient Fairy Dragon is banned. All these field spell related cards have been hit in the OCG. The TCG took a different approach. Terraforming is still at 3 because, realistically speaking, yes, it's a really good card in Spiral and Trickster, but it's not like the primary good card in those decks. With Dinosaur, they took a different approach to hit Dinosaur and True Draco's consistency to where Terraforming wasn't really an issue. And set rotation was put to 1 because it was a little bit too much field spell. The main thing with set rotation, in my opinion, why it is limited is because it creates a lock that you have to out, and TCG doesn't really like those kind of outs. Like in the OCG, Jijin is at 3, but here it's banned because of the Jijin lock and how players were literally building around that whole lock. So, long story short, I feel like with Spiral, I don't feel like Resort is going to get hit. I feel like the proper hit, in my opinion at least, the card that should be banned is Spiral Master Plan. I cannot underestimate how good this card is. So, if you played Spirals, you know how good Master Plan is. My thing that makes the Quick Fix still really good even at 1 is the fact that you can grab Master Plan, can grab a Spiral mission card straight from your deck on summon. Of course, she searches 2 cards when you link summon her away, which is amazing. But the main other thing is she searches a Monster Reborn that can be ditched with Quick Fix's effect. So that allows you to continue using Quick Fix despite the fact it's at 1. That is a lot less consistent without Master Plan because now you have to have something like Foolish Burial Goods or you have to hard draw it. And searching 3 cards is ridiculously strong. I feel like, I don't know if the deck would be as good as it is without Master Plan. So I feel like the TCG is going to take a different approach with hitting Spirals because I don't think they want to. Typically, the TCG does not totally slaughter decks and make them unplayable, minus a few situations such as Zoo. They don't, at least of recent years, I think the best example is the way they hit Cosmo and Monarchs, the way they hit True Dracos and Dinosaurs. The decks are still very playable, but the consistency is a lot lower. I feel like banning Master Plan is a more TCG-oriented approach. There's a very good chance Resort could also go to 1, but I feel like Master Plan being banned is more than likely on the TCG side. I don't really think other hits for the deck are necessary. I feel like just that powerful searching is one of the reasons the deck is so damn good. Helix is not going to likely to get hit because it is, it's a brand new card. Konami typically does not like hitting newer cards more than older cards. Kind of like what happened with Danglong, where Danglong was an older card. Then I feel like Konami was either looking to hit Danglong or hit VFD, so they chose to hit Danglong because it was an older card, and I feel like that's the same thing logic with Double Helix. As far as the other thing people talk a lot about is hand traps because they are so prevalent. But I would also say, and of course the number one topic is always Maxi. Is Maxi a ban-worthy card? I've always leaned towards no with Maxi because the whole thing with Maxi is even at 2, I can vouch for this. You're seeing it too much. It is, you're seeing it, way too much. But with it placed at 1, while it can be quote-unquote luck-sacky, while I don't think that's a good enough argument to ban a card, because you could basically ban every limited card by that logic. And with it at 1, yes, there's about a 12 to 13% chance of your opponent opening it in a 40-card deck, but you're not getting max seed every fucking turn. And with cards like Ash Blossom being able to directly counter it, I feel like playing around 1 max seed is not too much to ask for most decks nowadays. Ash Blossom is due for a reprint. I don't think it is warranted to be on the list, my personal opinion. And I feel like it's fine. I feel like, but the hand trap and same thing with people talk about Gamma, but the thing with Gamma is so situationally specific and can be dead in a lot of situations that I just don't feel like Gamma is really uberly spectacular, especially because most players will wait till you commit a monster to the board to then follow up to prevent themselves from being Gamma. Droll and Lockbird, however, is the card that if Konami, because Trickster's in some way, it's a pretty nasty loop between Reincarnation and Droll, but I don't know if Konami's going to hit a card like Reincarnation so soon. I feel like it's I feel like a more Konami related move because they tend to hit older cards rather than hit newer cards. I feel like the main thing you're going to see is it's possible if they do decide to hit Trickstars. I feel like Droll and Lockbird could possibly get banned because it creates that interaction with Reincarnation. It's just not fair. And Droll and Lockbird, however, is a very powerful hand trap because it does slow decks down. But with cards, if Konami is going to keep around, it might be a bit too much to keep Droll and Lockbird along with all the other hand traps. If they do hit hand traps, I believe Droll would be the more than likely one simply because the interaction it has with Reincarnation. I wouldn't be surprised to see Droll placed banned and then Reincarnation staying at 3. Because while the card is really powerful and it's really strong and searchable, at the same time, it doesn't create a ton of interactions that are problematic except with Droll and Lockbird. But as far as other cards, I don't really think outside of Spiral, I don't really think a whole lot is really going to see a whole lot hit. Pendulum Magicians are going to be getting Electrum and Extreme Forces, so Konami is not going to hit that deck yet. There seems to be people who want the deck hit, think the deck's going to get hit, but it's not going to yet. If it does get hit in some form after the list, after Extreme Forces, it's possible we could see Joker go back to 1. But realistically speaking, you guys know I love Pendulum Magicians, but I'm going to be real with you guys. That even with Electrum, the deck doesn't create crazy unbreakable boards. It pluses like crazy. It's super consistent. But at the same time, it's not quite good enough, really. It doesn't create... And evenly matched existing directly counters the deck. Like, unless you do what I do and make Vortex Dragon as often as you can, if you make a board with that deck... and your opponent has an evenly matched, it's going to wipe your entire board, and you really have... The deck has, outside of the Vortex play with Dissolver and Skull Eat, the deck has very few ways to prevent evenly matched from just screwing over your board. So, I don't feel like Pendulum Magicians, obviously my personal bias aside, I don't feel like the deck is that powerful enough to end up on the ban list, but at the same time... obviously at some point, we could possibly see the deck hit, but it's not going to get hit yet. As far as other things not mentioned, the field spell engine, like with cards like Terraforming is fine, guys. I don't feel like, it's really problematic anymore. Your diagram is not a problem. It hasn't been since the hit to Dinosaurs and True Dracos. The field spells outside of Resort you're not really seeing the crazy field spell stuff you were seeing not too long ago. It's really not a problem. But the main thing as far as like other changes I'd like to see just a lot of these semi-limit and a lot of these cards Konami pushed up on the September list, pushed up to 3. Mathematician, BLS, Luster Pendulum. These cards, Burial from Different Dimension, Brain Control, Preparation Rites, they need to just push these cards back up to 3. And one of the things I didn't like about the November list, I didn't like about it is didn't move things up the list that they should have. They kind of just hit spirals and forgot they moved those cards up. Cards like Mathematician, all these other cards, bump them up to 3, put them to 3. It's high time they, I feel like that was just something they completely ignored on the list. Outside of that, there's a lot of other cards I'd like to see come off the list. I'd like to see Construct come off the list. I'd like to see Shriek probably come to 1. I just like to see a lot of these older decks like Clayford. It's like you give them Scout to 2 or 3. A lot of these older cards, just bring them off the list. There's not some crazy, having something like Construct at 1 is not going to break the game, let's face it. But anyway, guys, that about comes in the video game. Let me know you guys think the TCG ban list. What changes would you like to see? Let me know down in the comment section below. As always, I thank you guys for watching. It's Orstorm, signing out.